I've been away for a couple of weeks. Well, I haven't been away, but I've done pre recorded shows because of Christmas and New Year's. Now, here we are in 2024, and I figure it's time to get back to business, roll up the sleeves, get to work. According to my good friend Joyce Petrus, who is launching her own channel, she's a gifted astrologer and tarot reading. 2024 is going to be a ride, but hopefully in a good way. As long as we're putting our best out to the world, we should be fine. But it's going to be a year where we're going to be challenged. It's my understanding that a lot of things that do not work anymore in our lives, things that we do not need, we're going to be shedding, or at least we're supposed to be doing so this year. I hope it's going to be great. So far, the energy feels good. I could feel a shift at midnight, New Year's Eve. I don't, maybe it's just my imagination. Maybe I was just full of champagne. So I was sitting here in my living room, in a t-shirt and boxer shorts. Yes, that was my elegant New Year's Eve tuxedo. And I had a bottle of champagne that had been gifted to me by my dear friend Anastasia. I had Sasha, my Siamese cat, here with me, and we watched that ball drop in Times Square on television. That was pretty much it. I don't know if any of you others had any great thing happen to you on New Year's. I'm looking at the chats here, see if there are any comments or anything coming. By all means, ask me questions, talk to me. I love hearing from you. I even love it, because I post a lot of videos, short videos on my channel. A lot of it to do old Hollywood lore, sprinkling some current news stories, and then, of course, stories about Lucille Ball and I Love Lucy. I work all of that in there, but I'm just loving the comments. I welcome them. I enjoy communicating with you. Several of you I feel like I'm forming virtual with, and I hope to keep encouraging that. I hope you'll send me comments here on this live stream, because one of the things I like to do, are intuitive readings, oracle cards. So if anybody has a question they'd like me to pursue, in fact, I'm trying to see, where did I put my oracle cards? Here they are, right here. That, I thought, now that would be embarrassing if I'm on live and I can't find my cards. Certainly worse things have happened. Things are running a lot smoother now. It was always a comedy of error in the beginning, in the first weeks of doing this show, because it was all new to me. In fact, it was only a few months ago. It was in July. I started doing live streams, period. I had never done it before. And of course, my dear, dear friend, Dr. Whimsy Anderson, who has me on her show on Tuesdays, Taco Tuesdays, as her sidekick and cohort. She's the one who got me into this delicious new field and helped me to find the wonderful manager, Debbie Brady. And we've put a channel together, and I'm building a following. And I hate to be so audacious as to say I have fans. I feel so arrogant to say I have fans, but I have followers. I have friends. It was actually Lucille Ball's daughter, Lucy Arnaz, who said, I like to call them FAMs, F-A-M, because, oh, hi, Joyce. Joyce Petrus just joined in. Because she said, I like to think of all of the people out there sending love as family. So I call them FAMs. So maybe that's the word I should use rather than fans. But thank you all. Thank you. And let's see, I've got a little bit of response here. I've got Joyce and Debbie here. So anybody wants to chime in with a question. But I guess we should go forward with a little bit of current industry news. And of course, last night were the Golden Globe Awards. Actually, that tends to be one of the more interesting award shows as of late, because it often determines who's going to be the big winners for the other award shows leading up finally to the Oscars. Now, I've always had a problem with this because, I remember the days when the Oscars were fun. The part of the fun of the Oscars was the suspense. you really didn't know who was going to win. That was the whole point of it. You were on the edge of your seat when they were opening that envelope. Now, with all of these pre-award shows, like the Golden Globes, the SAG Awards, the whatever other awards like Critics' Choice, stuff like that, pretty much what gets established on the Golden Globes seems to go right down the line to where there's no suspense anymore on the Oscars. And, and a problem I have had with the Golden Globes is it's actually a very minor award. And the reason I say that is because there are only about 300 voting members. It's the foreign press around the world, journalists around the world who do the voting, about 300 people. By contrast, the Oscars have over 9,500 voting members. So, obviously, I think it's obvious what the more important award is, but the Golden Globes has kind of been artificially inflated. It's usually the first big award show of the season. It's been touted more and more by the press. Stars are playing it up more. Like you see, it used to be hardly anybody mentioned they'd won a Golden Globe. Now you'll see in movie credits previews, Golden Globe winner, Golden Globe nominee, where people tend to now think of it as having the same importance as the Oscars now. But anyway, that's just a little beef I have with it, and certainly there are more important things in the world than to worry about an award show. It is interesting, the Golden Globes did cease production for, I can't remember if it was 1 or 2 years. It didn't help, the pandemic that affected most of the award shows badly, but they had a lot of controversy about their voting system, and there needed to be some revamping. And now they make a point of emphasizing that they are now ethnically and racially diverse. They really play that up now, and that's positive. It's good, but we have the show back now. It was interesting. I noticed they did not give their. They have 2 Lifetime Achievement Awards: the Cecil B. DeMille Award, and then they also have an award for comedy, the Carol Burnett Award. And of course, I love Carol Burnett, so I was really happy about that. They didn't present either one last night, so that was quite curious, and I'd love to know more of what that was about. Maybe more would be said. And of course, there was controversy about the host, Joe Coy. He was not well received. Many of you watched the show. A lot of his jokes fell dead flat. And then there was controversy about some things that he even said, like, in talking about the Barbie movie, he made a rather vulgar remark about how the movie is about a plastic doll. And I'm quoting here, a plastic doll with big boobies. And then he made a reference to Oprah Winfrey's The Color Purple, which she could not have been too happy about. If you saw my video I did about Oprah and this mysterious medication she takes to keep her weight down, and she won't name what it is, which that's her business. But anyway, he said, The Color Purple, that's what happens to your butt when you take Ozempic. So I can only imagine her face in the audience. It was probably about the same as Taylor Swift's, which was the other thing in the news. And you want to talk about much ado about nothing, but he made a little crack about Taylor Swift. And I even missed it. I must not have been paying attention, but I heard about it on the news later, and I thought, oh my God, what horrible thing did he say? It was nothing. He just made a remark about, what's the difference between the NFL and the Golden Globes? And he said the Golden Globes, you'll have less camera reactions on Taylor Swift. And at that moment, the camera did pan out to Taylor Swift, and she was sitting there taking a drink and putting on the table and not looking too pleased. Of course, it could have been she just didn't think the joke was funny. Nothing more than that. And she was just taking a sip from her glass, But the press tried to make something out of that, as I guess, when there's slow news, you do stuff like that. Let's see here. So I thought for today, I always promise in my commentary, if you see it on each of my videos, I say, I will talk about industry news, stories of old Hollywood, and then a tale about my beloved Lucille Ball with her husband Desi Arnaz. And I thought, I don't do enough of the old Hollywood stories on here, which is fine. The show is still finding its voice, and there have been some episodes where I've done interviews, or there have been other topics. Like I've had a really nice long Lucille Ball story. Well, don't worry, there will be one today. But I thought, let's get to old Hollywood here, because that is my great love. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do a show like this in the first place, frankly, I know it's a niche audience, but it's what I love. Oh, Francine just had a question here. Will the strike affect the awards? Oh, no, the strike is over. The strike is over. That's precisely why the award show was able to go on. And, in fact, television shows are now back in production, and we're going to start seeing shows appear toward the end of this month and in February. It's going to be an abbreviated television season this year. I have a feeling it might be seasons like 6 to 10 episodes like streaming, but at least we'll have something. So yeah, no, the award shows are on. The strike is all resolved. So I hope that answered your question there, Francine. Thank you for the question. Just seeing if I have anything else here. I'm looking. I always love. Oh, Francine, thank you. Yes, thank you. She just said my content's interesting. Well, I try very hard to make it so. I look for things that interest me, and I hope that it's interesting to all of you out there. So anyway, as far as old Hollywood goes, the other day, over the weekend, well, it was over the weekend, it would have been the 98th anniversary of the marriage of George Burns and Gracie Allen. And if you go to my YouTube channel, I have several pieces about them. I even have a piece about when they got married. I couldn't find my original artwork. Hey, this is a live show, and you have to go on. So I pulled it up on my iPad. I don't know if you can see it too well, but this is a portrait that I did of George and Gracie. I love them. They were really second only to Lucy and Desi as the greatest husband and wife comedy team. They were just so perfect together. And Grace, God bless her, she was so endearing. Once I was at the home of Paul and Ruth Henning. Now, Paul Henning, if I'm sure maybe you have to be a little older for this, but you may remember the Beverly Hillbillies, Petticoat Junction, Green Acres. Paul Henning was the producer, creator, writer on those shows. And I was with my friend Bart Andrews, who was a literary agent, and Ruth wanted to write an autobiography. Paul didn't want to do it, so she was going to write the autobiography, and she was trying to get Bart to be a literary agent. So I came with him to their home. It was quite fascinating. This is a whole other story. I don't want to get too off the track. But anyway, Paul Henning wrote for George Burns and Gracie Allen going back to their radio days. And Ruth was telling me that she and Gracie had a great friendship. So I was like, oh, come on, tell me about Gracie. I want to know anything about Gracie. And I said, I think my biggest question right offhand, her voice. Was that her real voice? Or was that a put upon voice? And Ruth said, no, that was the way Gracie really talked. George, that voice she had, that was real, that was authentic. But she did say to me that Gracie in real life was a highly intelligent woman. She had a high IQ. It's been said you have to be really smart to play dumb. And actually, I want to correct that, because Gracie did not play dumb. That's kind of the common belief, misconception. If you watch the shows, you listen to the radio shows, Gracie just her character lived on a different plane of reality. Gracie saw things differently. She expressed things differently, but it was actually intelligent. It was just this whole different plane. And of course, she had very good writers as well. And something interesting about Gracie? She never broke character. To the best of my awareness, and I've tried to research this, there are no interviews of her ever being herself. She always kept the Gracie Allen persona, much like Harpo Marx used to do that too. She just played it. I think there's even a game show appearance in the 1950s. I believe it was What's My Line, where they have a mystery guest, which is a big celebrity. They come out and sign the chalkboard, and the panel has their blindfolds on. They have to guess who it is. So it was George Burns and Gracie Allen. And even there, I remember Gracie said very little, but when she did speak, it was what you expected Gracie to be. And I could even tie this in a little bit with Lucille Ball. Um, Desi Arnaz purposely kept Lucille Ball out of a lot of interviews in the 1950s during the I Love Lucy years. By that, I mean television interviews. Because, I'm sure most of you know, later on, Lucille Ball was a fixture on talk shows. But during the 50s, Desi was very, very careful because he wanted to keep the illusion of Lucy Ricardo. And he knew Lucille Ball and Lucy Ricardo were two very different women. Lucille, to keep the two separate, Lucille was a serious woman, very focused on her work, very no nonsense. Lucille was the first to say, she said, I'm not funny. I don't joke. What I can do is I can act funny. And of course, nobody in the world acted as funny as her. There's a reason she's called the Queen of Comedy. But Desi did not want the public to see that. It was similar to Gracie Allen. He wanted to keep those personas preserved. He felt it was better for the sake of the show. So that's what happened there. Oh, by the way, forgot to mention something, entertainment news. And I mentioned Carol Burnett earlier. 90-year-old Carol Burnett won her 7th Emmy Award. And this time it was for her wonderful birthday special that aired last April. I think it's still available on the Peacock Network. It's a lot of fun. Someone said, Francine, what do you think about Chuck's kitty, Sasha? I thought that was a reference there. I'm trying to speak to the camera, and I'm trying to read in my peripheral vision here. I still need to master that. I did a promo today, and I was holding up Sasha, my Siamese cat, and she was cooperating with me, but she doesn't always cooperate. Let me pronounce that correctly. I think any of you who have cats know how hard it is to take a picture or a video of them. They do what they want to do. I wanted to have her here with me right now because I had her in the promo. She's gone off somewhere in the other room. I don't know where she is. She's sleeping somewhere. One day I'll get her back here. Or for all I know, she'll start walking across the back of the couch. She's done that a number of times already, especially when I've done my shows with Whimsy. I see a question here, Debbie. I'll get around to that later at the end of the show. I'll do some readings, but how will my new business partnership go this year? We'll ask that. I'll try to remember that, but remind me. Yes, Joyce used to watch What's My Line. Yeah, that was a great show. And yeah, Joyce, I love Carol too. Carol, I'll have to save it for another show because it's just a huge, huge story. And I don't want to get off the track, off different tangents, but I've met Carol Burnett 3 times, and all 3 were great, but 2 of those were actually top of the mountain experiences. I'll probably make videos about them one day, and I'll certainly talk about them live here. I love Carol Burnett. I just love her. I love her as much as any family member, but I think a lot of people feel that way. Carol Burnett is part of our collective family, just like Lucy was part of our collective family. Let's see here. I'm doing on time. I have a video I just posted today, an old Hollywood story. I'll just reiterate a little of it because you can watch the video. But I told the story of Marilyn Monroe and Joan Crawford's rivalry, which was based in a lot of jealousy. Marilyn was up and coming. Joan was kind of there and going, her career was still hanging on, but she was getting, she was getting older, as happens to actors and actresses, and new performers come up the ranks. And anyway, Marilyn Monroe was the hot new thing in 1953, and there was a big award show. Photoplay magazine was doing an award show, and it was being attended by a lot of stars. And Marilyn was being given an award as up and coming newcomer star, the big new star of the year award. I forget what it was called. I'm paraphrasing just a little bit there. And Marilyn was extremely conscious about her image. I mean, very savvy woman. That woman was smart. I've mentioned before on shows how I've picked up on her street smarts. She was not the victim quite like biographies love to make her out to be. And of course, there was a horrible movie on Netflix, very controversial, where they really played up a lot of that victimhood. And anyway, I get this woman knew what she was doing. And I've talked to people who knew Marilyn, like my friend Evelyn Keyes, who knew her and was even in the movie The 7-Year Itch, even though they didn't have any scenes together. Marilyn was savvy. So she knew exactly what her image was, how she presented herself. So William Travella, the great costume designer, had created this skin tight gold lame gown for her for the movie Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. It was so tight, it gave the illusion that she was actually naked and spray painted gold. The dress was so tight, she had to be hand sewn into it. They couldn't put a zipper on the back. They had to actually stitch her into the dress. And it was so tight and so fragile. Marilyn was told, be very careful how you move. Whatever you do, don't go dancing in that dress. It could literally start falling apart and disintegrating as you're wearing it. So for that reason, Marilyn purposely showed up 2 hours late to the award show. That was actually the truth. She just wanted to get the maximum impact with that dress and keep it from falling apart on her. So she arrived just before her award was being presented, and the audience went crazy seeing her in that skin tight dress. And there was like, woo, woo, wolf whistles and cheers. And Joan Crawford was in the audience. Not too happy about it. I think many have felt it was jealousy. It was flat out jealousy, because once upon a time, it was Joan who used to get that kind of attention. Now, it was like maybe 2 decades earlier, but, she was getting older, and here's this sexy, young, new blonde getting all the attention and the whistles. So Joan gave a rather nasty interview to reporters the next day saying, well, in my day, a star behaved like a lady, and she did not throw her breasts and sexuality out at the public like that. I mean, it was really kind of mean and petty. And I said Marilyn was quite hurt by it. But, when you get criticized by people like that, you've also arrived on the scene. I thought I'd throw in a couple of old Hollywood stories like that here, remind people about videos I've got on my channel. And I also forgive me, I'm going to backtrack on George and Gracie, because I mentioned, it's the 98th anniversary of their wedding. I have a video on there where I talk about it. I actually went to their gravesite at Forest Lawn. They're interred. They're interred in a mausoleum. And the way their names appear, Gracie Allen, George Burns, Allen and Burns. And George Burns saw to that. He said, I had top billing in our act, but I wanted Gracie to have top billing for the remainder of eternity. And there's a bench there that I sit on that George Burns used to sit on. He would come there once a month to talk to Gracie. And he would just tell her what was going on with the kids, the grandkids, what was going on in his career. I understand he went there the day after he won his Best Supporting Actor Oscar for The Sunshine Boys in 1976. He came there to tell Gracie, I want an Oscar. It's so sweet. And he once said on a 60 Minutes interview, because they filmed him in there sitting on the bench, he said, I don't know if she hears me, but it makes me feel a lot better, thinking that she does. So I just, look for the video, but I tell the story of how she was actually seeing another man. This is all up front with George. George was to her professional partner. They did a vaudeville act together. He was her comedy team partner. George was in love with her, and he couldn't take it anymore. And he finally said, Gracie, I can't stand this act with you the way I feel about you. We've got to break up. I've got to break up the act and say goodbye to you. And it was Christmas night. George's phone rang, and it was Gracie. And she said that she had been crying all day. And she said, I just figured out I must love you if you could make me cry this hard. And a little more than a week later, they were married in I hope I'm getting this right. I think it was January 8th. Here I am live. I may be giving the wrong date. I think it was January 8th. They got married, of 1926. So look for that. I have several Burns and Allen pieces on there. And we're nearing the end of the 30 minutes here. Let me see if I do have any other comments here. Joyce, you're having a blizzard. I'm a bit envious being here in Southern California. I mean, I shouldn't be complaining. I shouldn't be whining. We have, frankly, the best weather in the nation. It's going to be cold tonight, but by cold, I think it's going to be like in the 50s or something like that. Certainly not a blizzard. Let's see. I just want to make sure I'm getting all the comments here. Oh, yeah, Francine, thank you. Yeah, I seem to be in good company. A lot of new subscribers since Sasha started showing her face. It's true. I have a whole multitude of new subscribers since I started putting Sasha on. That's why I've got to get her on a live show. I've got, if I have to hold her captive for the beginning of the show and then let her run off, and I'll do the rest of the show. It's a little embarrassing if that happens live. When I'm pre-recording a video with her, if she's acting up or getting all fidgety, I can just do a retake. Live, you're gonna see it for what it is. She's a sweet little girl, but she is a rambunctious, determined little Siamese who wants her way. So anyway, we're in the last moments here. I'm getting out my oracle cards, and because Debbie, you had a question, and it was about, I want to make sure I get this correct here. Let me scroll back here. I know it was about your business. I just want to get the specifics here. How will my new business partnership go this year? Okay. Okay. I shuffled the deck. These are the three cards I got. I got creativity, new life, and balance. So I'm going to tell you what I think. The first one, creativity, speaks for itself. And I know this from working with you, Debbie, and I think any of your clients will say this, how you're enormously creative. I applaud you. You're so good with your left and your right brain. You're with your sense of logic, your sense of business, organization, management. But I also know your creative, imaginative mind, and I just know with me the ideas you give me, ideas for new videos, for shows, directions I should be going in. Just the banners you've created for me, the merchandising I've seen you create for Whimsy and others. You're a very creative woman, very resourceful, and so I'm seeing with the partnership, this is just going to allow you a lot more possibility for your creativity and what you do so well. The second card, new life, meaning some of these are kind of self-explanatory. New life, new directions, new possibilities. I like to believe the hit I'm getting, it's going to be easier for you. It's going to be calmer waters because you do have a business partner to share some of the load with. So in that respect, very much a new life for you. Where I want to say you don't have to work as hard, but I know you well enough to know you love working hard. But I see this just being the possibility and freedom to do more of what you want and where you feel you should be. And the other card I got for you was balance, which ties in with that. Your partnership is going to bring balance for you, and you're going to be able to divide your responsibilities, delegate more. You're already doing that with me, if I may speak for Joyce, Tawny, other clients of yours. You, to use your words, you're shoving some things off your plate and putting them on our plates. You're teaching us how to do these things for ourselves. And in turn, that's balancing things out. So, Debbie, how does that sound to you? I don't know if you have a comment for me, but that's what I'm getting from the Oracle cards there. And that's what I pulled from random there. And I'm just going through the contents here. Oh, here's one from Joyce. Okay. Well, Joyce, I see here it's going to be is that -3 degrees? Whoa. Whoa. Oh my God. The coldest I was ever in was in Virginia. It was -5 degrees. And what I remember about that was that was back in the days when you got gas. You still had to take a pen and sign a credit card slip. Boy, I'm showing my age there. It was so cold. I had gloves on, thick gloves. My hands were too numb from the cold to hold the pen. I had to go inside the gas station, warm my hands enough just so I could sign my credit card slip so I could leave. So anyway, oh, Debbie, good. That sounds excellent to you. I'm glad. Now, Joyce, you had a question here. Let me scroll back up here. Let me find it. Where was your question? You had a question. I'm trying to find it. Oh, yes. What does Spirit want me to know for the next few weeks? Okay, let me. I'm going to shuffle these cards here. Just one moment, please. Make sure I'm doing this correctly. Let me pull something from random here. This is what jumped out at me. Rest. And I mean, we've even talked about this a bit, Joyce. I think Spirit is just saying for you to rest, take care of yourself. You take care of your health, get yourself strong, and so you can be the best that you can be. This is just, you asked me coming weeks. I think this, because I shuffled and I was waiting till a card started jumping out, and this is the one I pulled out of there. Rest. So yeah, just take care of yourself. Get enough sleep, take time for yourself when you need it, eat well, don't let things overwhelm you, and I think you're going to be just great. Does that sound good to you, Joyce? Does that make sense? I see where you said just now, wow, but does that make sense to you? Does that feel good? Waiting for a comment to come in. Okay, I'm not seeing anything. Let's see, I'm at the 35-minute mark here. I was just trying to see if anything else was coming in. That seems to be all of the comments. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything here. Yeah, Debbie, we need to get some merchandising going here. Maybe some Sasha stuff, Sasha mugs. Comments about the snow. So anyway, this has been fantastic. It's good to be live again. I have a lot of fun doing this show, and I just thank you all for joining me. It means a lot. I'm very appreciative, and I'm appreciative of your comments. And And I'm appreciative of all of the warm encouragement and support you're giving me. Please know that means a lot to me. So I'm going to sign out for now, but as always, I'm going to say like and subscribe my channel, Chuck's Captivating Chronicles, and I'm going to close out for now, and I will see you next week at this time, 5 p.m. Pacific and 8 p.m. Eastern. Thank you so much.